Happy Tuesday, Facebook. And I should really stick this phone up before I start my live. And now, because the other day it fell down, I'm into my cup of tea. So anyway, I have made myself a cup of tea. I'm absolutely freezing today, which feels like a bad thing to say because in New York it actually is freezing. And I'm due to fly to New York on Friday. And the airline have contacted me asking me if I want to rebook, which does not work for me because I am at an event this weekend which will not be rebooked. So unless they cancel my flight, my plan is to travel regardless. So let's see how that goes. Anyway, I'm sat in my office and I just made a cup of tea and I'm just sitting here. I'm having the best conversations right now with people, really. And in one of the groups that I'm in, I was asked, or I wasn't asked, but I saw the post this morning which made me feel like I was asked, what's the one thing you've learned this week in your business? I'm like, wow, it's only Tuesday. But the one thing I've been reminded of in my business is that one-to-one conversation is king. Like, it's great to, and if you're here live, say hello so I know that you're here. And if you're here in the replay, say hi as well, because I love knowing. The other day I said that and people were giving me, I was getting notifications that people were showing up on the replay, and I loved that so much. So feel free to say hi to me, whether you're here live or later. But hi Carrie. Oh, was there no sound? Oh my goodness. Anyway, all I was doing was prattling on about poor me because I'm flying to New York on Friday and I don't want them to rebook my flight. They offered to rebook my flight anytime up until the 24th of the month, which just doesn't work. My dates are set. I'm traveling for a reason and I have to go. Anyway, the question I was asked, I keep saying I was asked, I'll repeat it anyway because I think there was no sound. I saw a thread in a Facebook group that I'm part of this morning that asked, what have you learned this week? Okay. What have you learned this week about in your business? And I was just saying that I'm not sure if I learned it. I think I already knew this, but I was being reminded that one-to-one conversation is king. And I know that I spoke to my boot campers last night. Carrie is one of my boot campers, about the fact that it's really easy when we get set up in our business to lose track or forget that speaking to one person is super powerful. It's really easy to start writing sales pages or emails or anything at all and just lose the way with the fact that if we speak to one person and keep it super clear, it resonates really deeply. And if it doesn't, and I seem to be having this conversation a lot, and so here's my mistake, is that I lost track of the fact that not everybody believes this. It's not that everybody doesn't know it, because we hear it all the time, but unless you've experienced it and you know the difference, you don't feel it, and that's the difference. So my thing that I was talking to my boot campers about was reminding them how powerful speaking to one-to-one is. And I've had lots of one-to-one calls this week because I'm talking to people about my Ascension mastermind, and I am loving getting on the phone with people. Like, it's so refreshing to get on the phone with people, especially because the Ascension Mastermind is completely different to anything I've ever created before, and here's why. Because, oops, 20% battery. Why is it always low battery when I come on here? Because I'm not interested in like getting hundreds of people to sign up for my program. Hi Tamsin! You'll love what I'm saying here. I'm glad that you're here. I'm not interested in getting hundreds of people to sign up for an online program. I'm not interested in signing somebody up or persuading them if it's not a fit for them. Hello, Tamsin, we need to catch up. We really do. I keep feeling it, and I don't know why I'm not reaching out to you to say, let's do it. So let's do it. But the Ascension Mastermind is like a completely different, it's a hand-picked experience, and it has pushed me outside of my comfort zone to reach out to people who I know would be a great fit for it and say, almost like tap them on the shoulder and call them out and say, have you seen this? Because you would be an amazing fit for it. And the beautiful thing about that, hi Jennifer, the beautiful thing, thank you Tamsin, I have an Amazon tab open, difference, but I'm gonna have to come back and find that because I want to get that today. I'm taking a bunch of books with me to New York. I'm planning to just read. I have 3 days to myself, Monday to Wednesday in New York next week. And I'm planning to read, to write, and to just be in my own bubble. And I'm going to try really hard not to be seduced by the bright lights of Manhattan and go sightseeing for 3 days, because I am back in May and I really just want to absorb myself in a bit of me time. So that sounds like the perfect book. I've just literally been struggling over it. There's so many books I've got that I want to read and I haven't yet, that I'm like, which ones do I take? I don't know. So that is definitely coming with me. But this is my point, is right now, and I know I've spoken a lot about anti-blueprint and about finding our own path and things, and I realise that that's a, you know, hi Jen, I'm so glad to see you. It's a really tricky thing to embrace when you're not feeling confident. If you haven't quite found your path or your groove or your group of people yet, if you haven't had the kind of success that you get confidence from, and again, see, there are no coincidences, all these things are connected. The feedback loop is something that if you've watched me before, you will know I talk about this all the time. And the feedback loop is whereby you put something out, people go, yes, this is what I needed. And it doesn't have to be a paid offer. This might be a live stream, it might be a blog post, it might be an email, and it just gets a response. And as soon as you get the response, it makes you feel like, oh, I love this, I want to do more of that. And so it keeps going. And so it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. I don't believe that these blueprinty mass market ways of selling allow for that feedback loop in the same way. When you connect on a smaller, more focused way, and you get to really have deep diving conversations with people, and you get to know people. So this is the great thing about my boot campers. I know every single one of them. I know about their businesses. I know who their family are. I know where they live. I know everything about them. And it's not because I'm like ideal client profiling them. It's because they're real people who I want to take the time to get to know. So, which is really, it sounds funny because it's so opposite to what we are taught we should be doing in our online businesses. And I just think there's a new wave coming. I really do think there's a new wave coming. And I think our way of being here in this world and showing up, and it's okay to look at how other people are doing things. I think that's a great thing to do, and I have been a huge advocate of that. I have taken more online programs than you can probably count, but I'm now at the stage where I'm like, okay, I've seen that all, I understand, and I completely respect all the success and everything else that everybody has had and everybody is sharing, but I'm so ready to carve my own path now. And that's what I'm excited about. And that's where I feel this new wave is coming in. And yes, okay, I still want to launch a podcast, which I am doing. I have my big, fancy, professional microphone on standby here. I recorded another episode this morning. And yet, I'm already filling the pool to the guests that I want to have on the show. I don't want to go through the usual lineup of guests that you see on most people's podcasts in our circle that we're all moving in. You know, I want to kind of shake it up a bit. I feel like I want some real life stories from people who have done things that is beyond belief, because that's my whole stance with Business Beyond Belief, is about just moving past a mindset block, moving past something that you didn't believe you could do, or showing other people what you can do that you didn't know you could do. And it's just about showing up and about making amazing things happen and sharing our stories, because ultimately it's our stories that inspire other people, and it's our stories that leave our legacy behind. So it's so important that we share these stories. And I think that with all this content opportunity that we have with live streaming, podcasting, obviously blogging, which seems to be dwindling at the moment, it's just such an opportunity to share these stories and to inspire each other. So I just wanted to hop on while I want to say drinking my cup of tea, but I'm just holding it because I'm talking too much to drink it. And just say that, you know, what you're doing is awesome. And I want you to keep doing it. And I don't want you to doubt yourself, because just because you might not be reaching hundreds and thousands of people every time you open the doors and offer a product for sale doesn't mean that you're not having impact, because you are. We all do. Every single one of us. Even if you just work with one person, if you opened a program and you got one person sign up, the transformation you could give that person would be huge. And the transformation that they go on to then give other people as a result of the work you've done together is huge. So your work goes way further than just the people that you immediately impact when you put it out there and make it happen. And I don't want you to underestimate that impact. And I just really felt like I wanted to share that message with you today. So it's short and sweet today, but that's where I'm at. I am continuing this week. I am having all the conversations, all the phone calls with people who I've spoken to about Ascension. And I just love that name so much. Do you know, I could not name my mastermind group. And I had a really funny thing about not even calling it a mastermind. I didn't even want to call it a mastermind. And then I was like, this weekend, I pulled a card for my husband, or so I thought it was. I thought it was for Chris. And I was reading it out. And as I was reading it, I was like, I knew it didn't sound right. And I didn't have any conviction behind what I was reading to him. And then he pulled another one. And as he was reading it for me, he was like, wait, this is for me. And I was like, oh, your one was for me. And I read it back again. And it was all about ascension and rising. And I was like, whoa, that's the name of my mastermind. It's Ascension. It's Laura Husson's Business Beyond Belief Ascension Mastermind. And it gave me chills. So yeah, exists. So it's a new journey for me because I've never recruited people for a mastermind before. Recruited sounds odd because I'm not marching people to sign up, but I've not shared the message about a mastermind before, and it's a different way of showing up. But all the learning and all the conversations and all these things leading on to the right next thing, right? So I'm gonna go and get back to, I might move actually. I have a trampoline in the corner of my office. I might get on the trampoline because I'm cold. I need to get my blood pumping and my body moving. Come on, New York. I'm coming on Friday. Don't let my flight be cancelled. That's my intention that I'm putting out for this week. I have so much to share, so I'll be doing some awesome live streaming next week from New York. Loads and loads to share. And I'm finding that inspiration for podcasts is coming poof, poof, poof like that. So yes, April is the month for the podcast launch. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. Please say hi if you come and watch and I'm not live. I want to know that you are here. And I will see you all very soon. Bye for now.